Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. You know, a lot of us just assume that when we buy a stock, we're actually buying a tiny piece of power, right? A real voice in how the company is run. Well, today we're diving into some seriously eye-opening source material that completely flips that idea on its head. We're going to break down exactly what it means to actually own a piece of a company today and uncover the exact corporate machinery operating behind closed doors.
So, the text hits us right out of the gate with this incredibly bold question. How is your vote stolen? Now, usually when you invest your hard-earned cash into a company, you expect a little bit of democracy. You buy a share, you get a vote. Simple, right? But the argument here is that this whole concept of shareholder control, it's pretty much an illusion nowadays. Basically, your vote isn't just watered down, it's practically taken from you before you even fill out a ballot.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, Piège SpaceX law, or the SpaceX trap.
The author actually uses SpaceX as the ultimate case study here to expose a massive shift in how corporate governance works. And it shatters what used to be the golden rule of investing. The stark reality is this: buying a share does not guarantee real power over company decisions anymore. For decades, it was simple. Equity equaled influence. You own a piece of the pie, you get a say in how it's sliced. But this text points out that everyday investors are increasingly locked out of the boardroom. You're funding the operation, absolutely, but you're totally stripped of the steering wheel.
Moving on to Section 2, Esthétique dual-class share, meaning the dual-class share structure.
So the crucial point is figuring out exactly how this trap works legally. It's a mechanism hiding right in plain sight. A dual-class share is basically a setup where a company issues different classes of stock, which inherently gives certain shareholders way more voting power than everybody else. It completely destroys that old-school one share, one vote assumption. Instead of a level playing field, you've got a tiered system. The top tier is for the founders and insiders, and it's stacked with all the voting authority. The bottom tier is for the rest of us, taking on the exact same financial risk, but holding literally zero leverage. Which brings us to Section 3, Mathematic Pouvoir, or the Math of Power.
We know what the structure is, but we really need to look at the cold, hard math provided in the text to see how this power dynamic plays out in the real world. The author sets up this massive David versus Goliath contrast. On one side, you have the small, everyday retail investor, just regular people buying in. And on the other side, the monolithic power of the mega founder, in this specific case, Elon Musk. Even though both sides are technically shareholders, they are playing completely different games with totally different rules.
Now, what's really interesting about this structure is the core statistic the author uses to quantify this divide: 10 times. Under this dual-class setup, Musk's vote carries 10 times the weight of a regular investor's vote. Every single time a small investor casts one vote on a company decision, Musk's equivalent share counts for 10. It's like a built-in multiplier effect that completely skews the balance of power way before a single ballot is even counted.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer mathematical impossibility of the whole situation. When the voting power of the everyday investor is stuck at 1, and the founder's power skyrockets up to 10, the scales aren't just tipped, they're permanently weighted. The idea of a democratic shareholder vote just evaporates. Overcoming an imbalance like that isn't just tough. By design, it's mathematically insurmountable.
Let's head into Section 4, Un investisseur sans pouvoir, or a powerless investor.
This leads right into the absolute harshest reality of this entire setup. The text drops this dramatic realization, even if everyone voted against Elon. And really, this is the absolute crux of the SpaceX trap argument. The author points out that even if every single small investor, massive institutional backer, and regular shareholder somehow managed to band together in perfect unity to vote against the founder, they would still lose. They are mathematically powerless. That 10x multiplier ensures the founder holds an absolute veto, making the collective voice of every other investor completely meaningless.
So, it all boils down to this final, pretty profound question. If your vote mathematically does not count, what are you actually buying? When you put your money into a dual-class structure, the text makes it crystal clear. You aren't buying influence. You definitely aren't buying control. You are just buying the financial rights to the company's future success, entirely on the founder's terms. It's a total redefinition of what modern investing even is. Definitely something to chew on the next time you check your portfolio. Thanks so much for joining me for today's Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.